Well, this month, both Premier David Eby and federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre took aim at Canada's temporary foreign worker program. Now, Premier Eby says the program is adding pressure to homeless shelters and food banks. He also suggested that some foreign workers are being underpaid and displacing local workers. But BC's Jobs Minister, Ravi Kahlon, argues that many businesses depend on the program to survive. In the first 3 months of this year alone, about 11,000 temporary foreign worker positions were approved here in BC. And to help us understand how the program actually works, we're joined by immigration lawyer Richard Kurland. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning.
There has been a lot of talk about this, and we're all learning more about it. How does someone qualify to come into Canada under the temporary foreign worker program?
Yeah, well, it's a complex matrix of Byzantine rules. And to cut that Gordian knot, to oversimplify, we know that some jobs we need the foreign workers. They're coming in under international trade agreements, migration policies that are occupation specific and no-brainers, frankly, emergency workers, for example. But overall, it comes in two varieties. People need a labor market impact assessment, an LMIA, to show that they, in particular, are needed by a specific employee after the employer advertises nationally to prove to the government that there are no Canadian citizens or permanent residents qualified and willing to do the job. So on the one hand, you need this LMIA. On the other hand, you don't, and you get a work permit. So the concern is people who need this LMIA. And why is that different? Because if you really want to oversimplify, it's a political tool. We know that many employers need to rely on foreign labor. They don't need LMIAs. But what happens if a local worker complains that there's a foreign national taking a job from a Canadian? Well, that's a political problem. So this LMIA system is created to reduce political problems. And here's the thing. Employers have to act in their self-interest as business people. They want the lowest unit production costs for goods and services. Government, on the other hand, has to protect the citizens, our permanent residents. We have two interests colliding. So don't blame the employer for following rules and bringing in large numbers of foreign workers because the government lets it happen. And you can't blame the foreign workers because they're also following the rules.
But are there foreign workers as a result who are, quote, taking jobs away from Canadians? Or are they doing the sort of work at perhaps the hours that Canadians don't want to do it?
Yeah, the thing is that there should be a premium paid by the employer if you want to bring in a foreign worker. Right now, this LMIA system, you're using a median wage to recruit. No, add 30% to it. Let employers hire foreign workers if they're going to pay them more. That will raise the wages offered to Canadians and permanent residents. Otherwise, the employers get a free ride, almost literally. Same thing to common sense policy. When it comes to study permit holders, and there's hundreds of thousands of these people here, entitled to work 20 hours a week off campus. So if you take 500,000 people, that's 500,000 times 20 hours a week of jobs taken from Canadians and permanent residents. If you want to study in Canada, prove to Canada you can afford to come here without working. Overnight, that simple policy change, plus the premium 30% change, would go a long way to fixing this problem.
Sure, but as it stands now, whether they're coming in as students or whether they're coming in as temporary foreign workers, we're talking about people who are making the same wages and have the same working conditions as Canadians, correct?
Almost offered. Remember, the conditions is larger than wage. The power an employer has over a foreign national is not the same power the employer has if they hire a Canadian or permanent resident. There's baggage. For example, there are documented cases where the employers of foreign workers require the foreign worker to reside in specific basement suites, for example, that may belong to the employer. The employer, if unsatisfied with the foreign worker, can say, "You're out." Well, what's the consequence? That person is tied to the specific employer and has to go to, Vancouver Airport with an empty wallet and a shame ride home. The same can't be done to a Canadian or permanent resident. So the power relationship is really different. The employers know this, and understandably, they're going to use these rules to their advantage. The foreign worker can't really complain, and just take it right down the alleyway. There's a big difference between hiring Canadians or foreign workers. It's not all about wage.
Well, no, exactly. But in some cases, is it not also about, say, for instance, you have a 24-hour coffee shop, and there might be a lot of Canadians who don't want to work, the shift from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. Is that not a time when you can fill it with a temporary foreign worker if you
Well,
have done that labor market, assessment?
yeah. I get it. But here's something novel. You can find people to work the graveyard shift. Well, how about this? Offer more money. It's not rocket science. That's the way our system is designed. You are not offering a wage high enough to attract labor. You have to offer more. And if it means 50 cents more on a hamburger, so sad, too bad.
Well, and that's kind of, that's the way it all works, which is, if you want to hire good, skilled people, if you want people to feel good about where they're working, pay them well.
Exactly. But the premier and other politicians are missing the big picture here. It's not just about employers and foreign workers. It's about the overseas agents who are offering immigration packages to these foreign workers and their families. The lure is permanent residence in Canada. Why do you think that people are uprooting themselves from their home countries to work at marginally over minimum wage jobs in Canada? Because they can get on that pathway to PR. And that's driven by high-priced overseas agents who can easily command $40,000, $50,000 to make that happen. So it's more than your hourly wage at stake here. And until government sees that big picture, it's like you have a swimming pool, there's a shark in it, and you can't see the shark. You got to look at the whole big picture.
So does then coming here as a temporary foreign worker put people on a path to permanent residency?
It used to, until, sorry, but until about 4 years ago, when Justin Trudeau took a secret decision to, in a short period, add 2 million extra people to this country with temporary status. They didn't have to report to Parliament. I saw the numbers coming in early on, and it put a chicken in a python. We now have literally hundreds of thousands of people lured here with the promise of a pathway to permanent residence, and there's no pathway. There are too many people, and the immigration quota is too small. Their status is going to expire. They're going to have to go home. And that is not right. The government admitted the mistake. It admitted we did something wrong. And the result, of course, was the increase in housing rental prices in urban Canada, where 2 million extra people had to find a place to live. Of course, rents went up. The whole thing was the worst immigration policy decision in about 30 years. But it's now fixed. We've reduced intake of study permits and foreign worker permits.
Right.
And we're processing, but there's going to be a tsunami of disappointment by the people who are here and have to go home with a ride of shame and empty wallets.
But the first word in temporary foreign worker is temporary.
And circle back to those agents who explained that's just your first step. You get temporary status, you get a beachhead in Canada, and then under these rules, which change, by the way,
Yes.
you'll be able to apply for permanent residence. Well, at the time, maybe, but not with a chicken and a python. That game is out, and these people are stranded.
Do we worry about people, the temporary workers who have run out of time, not going back?
Well, there you go. I mean, as I mentioned a while ago, expect to see a spike up in refugee claims because that buys you years in Canada pending your oral hearing and final disposition, during which you can work legally, get medical treatment, and even education. The students have somehow fastened to political problems in their home countries on our universities and campuses here in Canada that creates a plausible refugee claim for them if they can't make it the normal quote unquote way with a pathway to permanent residence. So, wow, it's a lot of problems for a lot of people. We cannot give an amnesty because if you do that, you're going to reward illegality, which will breed more illegality. So these people are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Richard Kurland, good to hear you this morning. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it. Richard Kurland, immigration lawyer.